Hey, what's going on, guys? Back with another edition of the Zero Hour. Tim Lloyd, Jeff Hobbs, and it is time for our weekly breakdown of our show coming up this weekend. We've got the Nashville Underground show with our friends over at training camp going down this Saturday night, December the 17th, Nashville, Tennessee. And Jeff, we got a pro-am card to run down, four good pro fights, pretty nice little amateur card as well. And I'm excited to get into it. But before we do us a favor out there, give us a like if you wouldn't mind. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You'll get notified every time that we put new content here up on the channel. Should have the Aries 13 bouts are up here now, so you can check out all those. Got a couple interviews up with some of the guys that are competing this weekend as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Jeff, you got do we have a commercial for this thing we're gonna run before we get into this, or are we going right into the
Man,
nitty gritty?
let's just run right into it, man. Let's jump to it. I'm excited. These underground cards are so much fun, man. And aside from the second time we did this, the first time they did an underground in Nashville, and now this time is back in that original spot, which is it's got such a feel to it, man. And it's almost like an exclusive event. I mean, that thing only holds 400 or 500 people, and then we just cut it off, and it's crammed. It's the energy, the vibe. So yeah, man, I don't. Let's just get into it. I want to talk about this card.
No doubt, no doubt. We got 12 bouts on tap. Of course, you can get your tickets still at fightertix.com, or you can catch the pay-per-view as always at spectationsports.com. Quick shout out to our sponsor, Smoky Mountain CBD. Before we get into this thing, they hook us up with a real nice swag bags every show, and you can check out their website, SmokyMountainCBD.com. They've got all legal edibles at Delta 8, Delta 9, you name it, they've got it. Some really good stuff, really good people too. So give them your business. Let's jump into it, Jeff. We got two tag team bouts to kick us off on the prelims. Both of these set at 385 pounds total. We got a lot of new blood here, so this should be fun just to see the ongoing evolution of this tag team thing. We kick things off with a battle between Triangle BJJ in out of Franklin. That's Clay Mayfield's group taking on the Phoenix duo, coached by Corey Robeson. So it's Jackson Whitlow and Cale Denton out of Phoenix MMA. They're in Hermitage, right outside Nashville, taking on Ethan Brandt and Owen Sanford out of Triangle BJJ in Franklin. And then after that, we've got a couple more debuting teams, although one of these guys on one of these teams has competed 2 times already. It's going to be Zach Odom. That's a blast from the past. And Spencer Lawrence, representing Wildside in Clarksville, and be taking on Corey Johnson and Zach Hill, representing Nashville MMA. Now, we've seen Corey Johnson team up in the past with Josh Maynor, so he will be the, I guess you'd say, the elder statesman involved here. He'll have some experience. Everybody else, it's kind of a trial by fire, but, there's more and more footage of this stuff out there for guys to kind of study. I actually sent the footage of the Richard Guerrero and Josh Booker against Maynor and Johnson fight out to everyone involved, just as a kind of a nice little, I guess, example of some strategy that works.
Yeah, absolutely right. Corey Johnson is going to be the guy with all the knowledge here. Third time in, he knows how this thing works. So there's going to be a little advantage there, just because there's nothing that's going to surprise him. He's tried things, and if they didn't work, he's come back and tried a different strategy. So you got to think that. And with training in-house at Nashville MMA with Zach Hill, he's been able to try to, teach him along as they go. Whereas before, you might have 2 guys from 2 different gyms teaming together, and they don't maybe have that cohesiveness. So you got to think that there's going to be a lot of experience and knowledge in that fight as far as how these fights go. But, man, the wild side guys are the wild side guys. They're called that for a reason. They just kind of let it all hang out there, man, and they go for it. So that one's going to be exciting. And then just definitely intrigued by, I don't know any of the people in this first tag team jiu-jitsu match, but what you do know is Triangle BJJ and Phoenix MMA, which, is Corey Robinson, which is, is a phenomenal BJJ practitioner. So knowing those 2 gyms, I'm going to expect, and I saw some of the ages on those guys, young kids from really good jiu-jitsu gyms. So I'm going to, expecting, a nice little chess match, in that first one.
Our one and only Muay Thai bout on the card is up next, and that is going to be a featherweight bout. This one should be pretty good. Except for 145 pounds, it's going to be Cody Ortiz, 1-0 in Muay Thai out of Stryker Fight Center, Kennesaw, Georgia, taking on Phil Edgewood, 1-2 out of Nashville MMA. We have not seen Cody compete yet in Muay Thai. He won on NFC. He has done MMA with us several times, so we're familiar with him for sure. Phil, of course, coming off of a close decision loss at Amped in Nashville back in August, but very good technique from Phil. Always, I think all three of his fights have gone decision, if I'm not mistaken. So he's very durable. He's always, in the fight. Has lacked a little bit of stopping power up until this point, but Cody Ortiz, kind of same situation. He's a guy that's very technical, but hasn't really been able to just put together any like crushing, knockouts or anything like that. So this is a fight that I'm expecting to go all 3 rounds, and I expect it to be fairly hard to judge.
Yeah, probably one of those that when we're waiting for the judges' scorecards, we're just as anxious to find out, because it's certainly going to be one of those that we always look at each other, Tim, and just go, "I'm glad I'm not judging this one."
Yeah.
Because I do feel, even like I said, even with the 2 losses on Edgewood's record, those were tough guys, and even one of the past Underground shows, the team from Kentucky that came down short notice, I think was unknown, but were way better than what you would have thought just coming in last minute. So he's been in there with tough competition. But you're right. Both guys just kind of have that laid back approach. Nothing real, no real urgency as far as they don't push the pressure. They take what comes at them. They use their technique, and my only thoughts are the one that actually becomes the more aggressive, whether or not they're actually connecting or pointing, if you will, from a judge's standpoint. I think aggression could be the difference maker in this fight. Who decides to come forward? Who decides to throw those combinations kind of with a reckless abandonment? I think that could be the difference maker in this one.
Rounding out the prelims, we jump into MMA from here on out. This one is going to be bantamweight bout, 135 pounds, a rematch actually from the fair show. And this is going to be Bryce Warner out of Wild Side, a 2-2 record coming in to take on Hunter Anderson, 2-1 out of Warrior MMA in Gallatin. These guys had a really fun beginning of their fight at the fair. It was all over the place. It was wild, but ultimately it was a illegal knee to the head by Bryce to Hunter that caused a disqualification, and that is why we're running it back here, because it was shaping up to be maybe the best fight of that night.
Yeah, it was a kick. Remember, Hunter Anderson had posted up on one hand.
Kick. Okay, not a knee.
Yeah, posted up on one hand and was standing up, and Warner, just with that aggressiveness, thought he had made it enough and up enough to throw it, and unfortunately, like you said, what was shaping up to be probably one of the more exciting and competitive and action-packed fights on that card. Left us all wanting, and now the thing is, something like that happens. It is so cliche. Both guys leave the cage and they hug and they tell each other, we'll run it back. And it never happens. They never run it back. So we are very fortunate that both these guys said it and they meant it. And we're going to get to see it again. And we're going to get to actually have, hopefully, knock on wood, a winner this time. Bryce Warner chooses, to do 125. That's where he's more comfortable with. But this is one that he looked at and felt comfortable going up at 135 and had no problem saying, let's do it again at 135. There was no, well, hey, let's try to come down closer to my weight. Let's run it back exactly the way it was. Both these guys pretty much have kind of said thank you for putting this back together, so that there can be a definitive winner once and for all. And regardless of where it's at on this card, I think it's going to be just as exciting as it would have been at the fairgrounds. It's just there's so many other things on this card, or it would probably be higher up just because of what I feel is going to come with this fight.
Yeah, and this is one where Bryce has shown like so much potential. I feel like in just about all of his fights, he's had really good moments, win or lose. It's just I think he's got to slow down in there. He's got to think a little bit more clear while the fight's going on. Easy for us to say on this side of the camera, of course, but it's just part of the growing process. I think the skills, the aggressiveness, the fighter is in him. He's got to think a little more clear in there. Hunter Anderson, on the other hand, he's a good size 35, man. He's one of the bigger 35ers you're going to find. So I'm excited for this. He's another aggressive guy. It's kind of live or die by the sword. I don't think we'll go to a decision on this, no matter which way it goes. We go on to the undercard now. We've got heavyweight action kicking off the undercard. Got the debuting Cameron Johnson out of Guardian MMA over in Lebanon, Tennessee. He'll be taking on Finn Martin, representing Nashville MMA 1-0. It's been about a year now since Finn has debuted, so it'd be interesting to see what improvements he's made in this last year. He's a guy that would typically probably be a light heavyweight, so possibly giving up a bit of size here, or at least pounds, to Cameron Johnson. He'll make up for that with a little bit more experience. So this is one that I'm excited to lead off the undercard with the heavyweights. That's not something we usually do, so that's cool.
Yeah, you're right. You nailed it on the head right there. He won't be giving up size, but he'll be giving up pounds. Their body frames and body types are way different. Like you said, typically Finn Martin is always looking for competition and fights at 205. He's willing to go up to heavyweight if he has to, but then yet he shows up, and stature-wise, he looks like the bigger guy every time. Every time we've seen him. I think he's going to be taller. He's just going to be kind of a bigger bone, thicker guy. He's well put together, but Cameron's going to have the actual weight advantage. That weight that up against the cage that you'll wear on somebody with. If he gets you on your back, he's going to have that weight. So it doesn't matter what size or shape his body's in. He's just going to have that weight advantage. I think in this one, because I think Finn has had to kind of purposely kind of put on some pounds for this fight, not necessarily watch what he ate during this camp so much, just to make sure that he's in that kind of what we call cruiserweight area, to be able to compete in this fight. But like you said, Finn, he's got he has military background, and so he does have moments where he'll train and then he has to go to work and he has to go do things with the military, and then he comes back and he's ready to go. So he's hoping to want to take advantage of his time at home right now. But Cameron Johnson, man, this is a guy that reached out to you and was just like, let's roll, and hasn't really been much. Not that anybody's a problem, but just very unassumingly just signed up, has done what he's had to, supposed to do, selling his tickets, and he's coming to fight, man. And I did get to see one of his teammates this past weekend, and if it's the same as what I saw this past weekend, he's coming to win this fight, and he's going to give it everything he has to walk out of there with a W. So this one is going to be intriguing. It's our only. Hell, Tim, do we even have anything remote? 185 is the biggest we've got. So this is our sole big boy fight on the card. So it's a really cool way to kick off the MMA side, to go ahead and just come right on out with the big boys and let them throw that leather and get the crowd excited before we head on to all these smaller weight classes.
Yeah, we're 155 happy from here on out. It's a lightweight bout up next. Jeremiah Bennett, 1-2 out of American Top Team Lima down in Atlanta, Georgia, taking on Cody the Burden Stewart, 2-2. Triangle BJJ and Franklin. This one's an interesting one as well. It's the first time that we've had Jeremiah Bennett up. Now he's fought for NFC, in his fights previously. So this will be his first fight with him now having 3 fights. I guess his first time having opened up rules, if you will. He's been fighting under a more limited rule set with Georgia in his earlier stages. He is a tall 155, one of the taller 155s you'll see. He's a big guy, but Cody Stewart last time out, it's been about a year for him too. Last time out, he knocked out Ben Sharp, and that was another one of the tallest 155s that you're going to run across. So he's already kind of fought this body type before. Cody's one of these unassuming guys, very soft spoken. Yeah, he's not braggadocious or anything like that. But he brings the goods. This will be his first fight out of Triangle BJJ. Previously been with the UFC Gym Murfreesboro before they shut it down. So it'd be interesting to see how he's developed over the last year as well.
Yeah. I'm really impressed with this ATT Lima team. I've it's the first time when we started working with this card, a friend request and kind of watch what they do. I love the way they're pushing the show. Love the way they're marketing themselves and wanting everybody to get involved in this weekend in Nashville. So very much big thank you goes out to that ATT Lima team, man, because they're all about it. Like you said, I'm looking at pictures of Jeremiah Bennett, and I'm just going, are we sure he's the same weight class as Cody Stewart? Just because he's just a bigger guy, big head, just kind of from his pictures, you're just thinking, are we sure this ain't a 185er? To me, he looks like a 185er in pictures. Now, that being said, I am notorious for being that guy that watches, UFC, and I see somebody and I go, God, he looks huge. And then I meet him in person and go, the camera really does. Pictures and cameras sometimes really do lie. But not to jump ahead, but I'm really, looking forward to this Bennett and Dillahunty, couple here coming in and seeing what they can do. They look like they've been working really hard together for this show to get each other ready. And I'm excited. Like I said, Cody Stewart surprised us all last time. The last time we had seen Cody, or the time before last, wasn't his best moment, wasn't a good fight for him. And so he walked into that Ben Sharp with a big question mark, and man, did he deliver in that fight, and kind of that coming out like, not am I just back, but I was never gone. I had a bad showing last time. This is who I am. And so I'm excited. I think this is going to be, I think both these ATT Lima guys are going to be involved in a toss-up for kind of a fight of the night. So I think this one's going to be so competitive. And I think we could get some rounds here out of this one, and it'd be one of those just kind of war of attrition type things.
Up next, a flyweight bout. This is one that we were supposed to do about a year ago. It's crazy. Like, we're referring back to a lot of these circle back to that last Underground card, November of 2021. Austin Slow Burn Swink, 1-0 out of Phoenix MMA in Hermitage, taking on Jamie Lloyd, 2-1 out of Fight Force Fitness, Cheatham County, Tennessee, proudly representing. These guys were supposed to throw down, like I just mentioned, last year, and it didn't happen. And so now it is going to happen. I'm excited. There's a little chirp in it from what I've heard between these two. So I think this should be all action. The flyweights are always going to bring high energy, high pace. I'm expecting to maybe get some rounds out of this one, but wouldn't be shocked if we don't. This is really kind of those hard ones to know what's going to happen. There's not a whole lot of footage on Swink. I did see his first fight, and he looked good. He's got some swagger to him. So this should be a fun one. I'm excited to hear your take on this one. Of course, Jamie, from up in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, this one goes back a way. If you go back to the first Underground show, there was a small little contingency of 125ers for some reason that had gotten in kind of an Instagram
message,
Instagram beef where you had Swink and Lloyd and some of them Hawaiian guys and just a little group of 125ers that were all just tossing it out there. You want some, you can get some. You want some, you can get some. So it was a round robin of 125ers trying to get some. One of which, Jamie Lloyd was supposed to fight at another show in the Nashville area a few months back that was involved in that little mess. And, whatever that was that happened, it didn't happen. So, there was a lot of talk and things fell out. I think Swink fell out the first time they were supposed to, or pulled out for something. So you didn't know if this was one that's going to come around. But, I'm not going to lie to you guys. We didn't go out and search for this fight. They came to us and said, we are ready to fight each other and we want to do it on your card. So we was like, well, shit, yeah, come on, bring it. So we do appreciate them making our job easy here and matchmaking for us. But I think it's just one of those things. I joked around about that little pool of guys. Well, that's about as big as the pool's going to get. It's about those 4 guys that were in it. So there's not a lot of opportunities out there if you're not going to have that body type where you can go up to 135 and compete. So, um, some of this I think is out of necessity too, that there's just not a big pool of flyweights out there. So, but
All trying to claw their way towards Vincent Van Alstyne.
that's right, and they all want it too. I mean, and you got to put Bryce Warner, who we talked about. That fight's at 35,
Yep.
25, who he's already fought Van Alstyne and wants another shot at that. And but I think this one's going to be exciting. The Cheatham County crowd is going to come out. There's no running from that, so you might as well accept it. And they're going to be loud and rowdy. I tell you what, Jamie Lloyd reached out to him and he said, listen, I love the guys at Fight Force Fitness. They've been helping me with my sparring. He said, but for this fight, he said, I'm team me on this fight.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll make that edit while you proceed.
Yes. He's like, I've been training at home. I've been going to there on the weekends to spar. He said, but I've been focused on this one and just kind of secluded myself, in myself and to get ready for this one. And he's actually in very good spirits this week. He's reached out just about every day just to give the old let's go, exclamation point, just to let me know he's ready for this weekend. So this one's going to be fun. I don't know a lot about Austin Swink, so I'm ready to learn more about him, but I've heard, your take on him. And you know what? Confidence and swagger goes a long way sometimes in this sport, man. And if you feel good, you perform good. And it looks like Austin Swink uses that kind of motivation and vibe going into a fight. So this one should be fun. I think it's where it's at on this card, for those two reasons. I think it's going to be fun, and I think we're going to have a lot of crowd participation in this one.
The amateur main event, if you will, this is the one that it's why I'm probably most excited for this fight. It's crazy, but I don't see how it's not good. Middleweight action, 185 pounds, our final amateur fight of the evening. Dilla the Killer, Miles Dillahunty, 1-1 out of American Top Team Lima, Atlanta, Georgia, taking on Andrew Stewart, 1-0 out of Nashville MMA. Both these guys are put together. Both these guys are, they're very athletic, very skilled, very strong, come from great teams, very confident. It's the first time I'm going to get to see Andrew Stewart fight, but you've seen him over there training. You said nothing but good things about him. I can tell just from video and pictures that he is he's a big, swole, huge 185. We've seen Miles Dillahunty fight back in Chattanooga. He gave our champ Josh Booker everything he wanted in what was a very, very, very close split decision. And so, man, I have no idea how this one does not deliver the goods.
Yeah, this is going to, man, I just picture it closer than what the example I'm about to give you. But, you remember the Van Meter and Lucas Cox. Mm-hmm. Just that kind of war where I think both of these guys are at some point going to be exhausted and they're just going to be slugging and grinding and grappling. And I don't know, man, I'm like you. Is no disrespect to anything else on this card because we know Charlie Alexander and Corey Delaney and Zach Hicks, and those are all great guys, and I love watching them compete. But as far as just that, just anticipation and unknown and just not knowing where this thing's going to go, and a lot of my feelings on Andrew Stewart, I have nothing to back them up with. It's just a feeling that I get, and I think because his one win was on an Ivy show in Murfreesboro, and not a lot of us from Middle Tennessee, kind of outside of, because we kind of do our own thing with our promotion, and we don't always get out to those other shows, because I didn't see it. You don't think much of it, but then I would go back and I research, and it's okay. Well, the guy that he fought was pretty good. I think that guy right now is at like 3-2, 2-2, something like that. Not a bad debut, and so I think my feelings are more of just what I think is going to happen. And I think I know what we're going to get in Andrew Stewart, and I know what I know about Dillahunty because of that Josh Booker fight. And you just kind of put those two together. I just hope it delivers the way that in my mind I see it delivering. Again, placed on the card for an exact reason, and it's what we just talked about, is that we anticipate, this is absolutely your amateur main event for a reason. And man, I just hope it fucking delivers like we think it was, because on paper and what we know of these guys and what we hope we know of these guys, I just don't see how it doesn't.
Moving on to the main card, professional bouts from henceforward. We've got a catchweight bout to open up the main card here, 140 pounds. This will be Prince Ahmed Camus makes his professional debut at a Gym O in Gastonia, North Carolina, taking on Majin Travell Boone, also making his pro MMA debut at a National MMA. Travell has already gone pro in Muay Thai, fighting on Lion Fight. So he does have a pro Thai fight, but this will be not only his professional MMA debut, but his MMA debut. In general, he has never fought MMA. So this is another one that kind of sticks out to me. It's just like very interesting at the very least. I don't have really any idea what's going to happen. I'm very intrigued to find out what happens. I want to see which one of these guys emerges as a prospect. That we can look towards. Continue on doing bigger things. So, Ahmed Camus. It's been a while since we've seen him. The old regime he fought about. I guess it's been about 2 years ago now. So it's been a while since he's been in the area, but knocked off Elijah Gilbertson by decision last time we saw him in Knoxville. So, he's an experienced guy. He still doesn't have as much experience overall in combat sports as Travell, but, he does have 7, 8, 9 amateur MMA fights, and a lot of which have gone to the decision. So he's got a lot of cage time. And so, I'm excited to get your take on this one. This is, Travell Boone is without a doubt, world-class striker. We're going to find out if he can kind of tie it all together. I think you muted yourself there.
Yeah, I did. I'm sorry. Yeah, I wish I had a take on it, man, because I'm like you. There's just so much unknown, but excited about the unknown. How is this thing going to play out? Like you said, we know world-class striker, Travell Boone. How is that going to? It's kind of like James Toney. Yeah, professional boxer, world-class boxer. He decides to go MMA. He can't do amateur MMA. He's got to, he jumps in the pro ranks, and same with Travell Boone, professional Muay Thai fighter. So can't really go backwards and fight and get your feet wet and see where you stand in MMA. You got to jump on in there. And, we talked to him. We had an interview with him here on the 0 Hour. You can go back and check that out. He's not ignorant to the fact that the blueprint out there is going to be, I'm a striker, take me down. But his feeling is be careful what you wish for. If you think I'm inept on the ground, you're going to find out you're sadly mistaken. He's in the gym with Zach Hicks all the time, Dietrich, Sanders, Charlie Alexander. All those 3 guys by trade are grapplers and wrestlers. That is their bread and butter. So he's seeing it. He's drilling it every day. Because he's not just taking Muay Thai classes. So, we're just going to see if he's able to put it all together. If it does get to the ground, punches are thrown on the ground too. And, he's going to have fast hands. I think, the equalizer here is going to be that experience, though, of Camus, his cage time. He's been there. He's seen things. He's been in predicaments and positions in the cage that he's had to work through, fight through. He's got that background in the cage to know when this thing goes wrong, this is what I do to get out of it, or this is what I've done in previous fights to get out of it. So I think that experience and knowledge of just how it feels being in that cage is going to shorten that gap in between some of the deficiencies, just like on Travell's side. Just his speed of his hands and his combinations, I think, are going to, for him, shorten that gap of the experience that he lacks. So both these guys shortening gaps on both their ends, and still that unknown. This is a very just intriguing fight. Boone is, one of those guys, kind of like the DJ Millers, Tim, that you've worked with in the past, where it's like they're just so frustrated with not being able to get fights in the discipline of their choice. It's just, okay, fine, I'm coming to y'all's world then. If I can't do anything and I do all this training day in and day out, I'll just come to you guys. I'm going to compete at something. I'm going to punch somebody. Somebody's going to punch me. So let's get it on. So going to be real intriguing here. It's going to be a very interesting way to start out the professional side of the card.
Feature bout of the evening. This is a lightweight bout, 155 pounds. This one is very, very hard to clock for me. Magic Michael Roberts, our first time seeing him, 9-7-1, very experienced, the most experienced guy on the card. Out of Derby City MMA in Louisville, Kentucky, our first time working with Derby City MMA. That's exciting in itself. And he'll be taking on Dietrich Break 'em Down Sanders, 5-3, Nashville MMA, coming off a big win at Amped over Logan Neal, in which he looked really, really good, much improved, I think, from the footage that I compared, in his earlier fights a year or 2 years back. He's really come a long way. Roberts has been in there with some really, really good competition as well. Both these guys have fought really good high-level competition. Dietrich Sanders fought JSP and, a couple other UFC vets as well. This is going to be two experienced vets looking to elevate here. The win for both of these guys would be considered a quality win. You're muted, I think, again there, Jeff.
Yeah, I've got so much background. I got so much background noise here today. I'm trying to mute in between talking.
Mhm.
But this one to me is kind of that pro equivalent to that, Stewart and Dillahunty fight. Like this was just got all the makings of delivering, man. Terrence McKinney, that's who I was thinking of. That's another guy that Dietrich has fought recently. So, like you said, just hugely stiff competition. But Magic Mike is right there with them, man. He fought Kama Worthy, did he not, at one time? And he's been in there with some good competition too. I will say, you want to talk about just a breath of fresh air. I think you booked Michael Roberts, let's just say on a Monday. Never fought in the state of Tennessee before, and by Wednesday he was completely medicaled, licensed, and everything. Like this guy has been the epitome of professionalism.
Yeah.
Hey, I need a picture. Here's you a picture. Hey, you're going to have to get your medicals done. You're a brand new fighter for Tennessee. Bam. Within 48 hours, they're all done. So what just a refreshing breath of fresh air to work with, a professional like that we've really had zero. Questionnaire goes out. He's like the second or third person to return it. So it's been awesome. But, this one's going to be in Dietrich Sanders' hometown. But, man, this one is going – again, I think that experience is going to be a lot of the equalizer there. Dietrich looked great against Logan Neal, but that was a hometown fight too. There's a lot of energy in the place, a lot of his teammates, a lot of his friends, family, fans, and that's going to be there too. But was it 17 professional fights under Michael Roberts' belt? I mean, that is a lot of cage time. That is a lot of seeing everything out there you could possibly see. But like you said, Dietrich Sanders almost looked like he turned another level in his last time. I mean, it was a more aggressive Dietrich Sanders. It was just a focused Dietrich Sanders, man. Where before, like you, I'd go to YouTube and I'd watch some of his fights for the Kentucky promotion up there, and it was a little just more slow and laid back. But the last time we saw him, man, it was 100 miles an hour, just plumb clinch, knees to the head, just coming forward. It was a little more aggression than what we had seen in the past. You got to think, and I think, when I've talked to him, he attributes a lot of that to Dorian Price, and what he's, gotten from him in the gym. So, and I think this is going to be an awesome fight right here. And one of those where I may have some other things to do. This will be one of those where we zone in cage side, like, oh my God. And not to mention, we have been reached out by other people that are watching this fight because they see this weight class and they're just like, I want the winner. Like, give me whoever wins this fight. And so don't be surprised if the winner of this walks away with, some offers out there of, people like, hey, whenever you're ready to book your next one, I'll be here waiting for you type of deal.
Co-main event of the evening. This is catchweight, 150 pounds, and yet another fight that was supposed to happen about a year ago.
Do we have three of those on this card?
About a year ago. It's going to be 150-pound catchweight. Fred Freeman, 3-4, out of St. Louis, Missouri, comes to Nashville to take on Zach Hicks, 7-4, at Nashville MMA. You know, last time we saw Zach with a very, very impressive, dominant win over Charleston Poo back at Amped in August, and that brought him to 7-4. And really just kind of on a is Zach Hicks right now, kind of, pedal to the metal right now with him. You know, it's all systems go. He's making his move. He's making his run at it right here. Fred Freeman, last time these guys were supposed to fight, Fred made it to Chattanooga. He made weight. There was no issue there. Unfortunately, there was a situation after he made weight. Even after we'd come back for ceremonial face-offs, he had to go to the emergency room with an illness or a dehydration issue, and was not cleared to fight. So that was devastating to hear at the very last minute for both us and Zach. And so, we've circled back around to it again. It took a little twisting and prodding to get Zach to, want to, put himself through this again with a guy that, that he was supposed to fight before. And, that's natural. You can't really fault him there. But luckily, we've got it worked out now. Fred seems to be all systems go here this time. This will be at 150, and the last time I was at 145. Maybe that extra 5 pounds will, do a little less on depleting his body.
Yeah, and that was kind of what Zach looked at, when it was booking this, is Fred requesting, okay, what happened, and we know why it happened, which ultimately, like you said, he made the trip from St. Louis all the way to Chattanooga, Tennessee. It was an overnight trip because he couldn't leave till like midnight, 2 a.m. in the morning, rolled right in. I think it was a bad weight cut, but he made weight. He showed up, he made weight, came back to ceremonials. But you could tell at ceremonials, he was not in good shape, just physically, just his demeanor wasn't feeling good. And it was kind of hard getting him up and to the ceremonials, if I remember correctly. So he just, he wasn't there, and it was devastating to all involved. But, Fred said, hey, when we posted up that we were looking for an opponent for Zach Hicks, he answered the call and just said, hey, let's do 150. If you're worried about that happening again, well, shit, come on, let's do 5 extra pounds. And so we won't have that problem again. If you really want to fight, Zach was looking to compete because he's got bigger things in his mirror that he's looking at, like things down the road that he is asking for and wanting to do. And so he knew he didn't want to just sit on the shelf and just, say no to something. So he said, look, if the guy's going to do, his medicals are clear, we're going to do it at 150. He's going to, let's do it, but just no shenanigans, Yeah. And I feel like we won't this time. I truly do feel like we won't. After that debacle in Chattanooga, I did go to a fight card in Tennessee, ironically. Fred Freeman was showed up to, competed against, at that time, a guy that was 5-0, So I think, hopefully, I hope I'm right that, this time's going to be a little different situation than what, we and Zach had to go through last time with Fred. Now, fight wise, like you said, Zach he's not getting any younger, and he is on a mission right now. He's making sure that he's staying healthy, keeping his body feeling good, and he wants to stay active because he knows he's got a shorter window than ever before right now to make something happen. So he's trying to get as many. I feel like we've been talking about Zach since about mid last year, because every fight that's over, he's saying, hey, give me 2 more months, I want to do it again. Give me 3 more months, I want to do it again. And he's staying active. And that's exciting for us because he's a solid, stand-up guy that we love having on the cards. Now, Fred Freeman, his record's backwards, but he is one of those guys. Look, this is a guy that's traveled overseas for Bellator, had, I think, 2 Bellator fights, things. So he's well-traveled, and he has seen, a lot in his time. He just, he doesn't say no to the kind of some of these tough fights and buzzsaws, and, hats off to him for that. But he falls in that category of, is Zach going to give him something he hasn't really seen before? Probably not. It's just going to be, can he handle the pressure that Zach's going to give? Or can he get Zach to slow down the fight, stand with him more? Can he use his length to keep him at bay and keep him from shooting, to kind of drag out the fight in hopes of clipping him at some point? And taking the fight to a place that, I'm not saying Zach doesn't want, but taking it out of his game plan, per se. This is a good fight. I'm excited for it. Excited, for Zach to be able to get this fight back because it's one he wanted originally, and see what the future holds. Because again, without giving too much away, Zach has goals, and he's laid out the blueprint for us on what he wants to do and who he wants to see. And if all things pan out, this could be some really exciting announcements for Aries in the coming months here, with some really really good fights. But Fred's job is to come in and spoil the apple cart here and throw a monkey wrench in everything. And believe me, he wants to do that. It's Christmas time. Nobody wants half a check. They want the whole thing.
No doubt. Main event time, and this one we'll round it out at 155 pounds lightweight battle, and it's going to be Corey Delaney, 4-8 out of Team Chaos, Columbus, Ohio, taking on C4 himself, Charlie Alexander, 8-3, Nashville MMA. Last time we were at this venue, Charlie was the main event, and against Logan Neal, and the house was wild and crazy, and Charlie's always brings it at home. Always brings it in Nashville. Always likes to fight at home. Good following there, and Corey Delaney's guy that's coming in with some momentum here. He won at the last Aries show over Justin Watson in a very vicious fashion, and then before that, snapped off an armbar on Nick Campbell, who we just saw. Nick Campbell's no scrub. Like, that is Nick Campbell's tough. Nick Campbell's a tough guy, and so Corey Delaney armbarred in the first round. So Corey is one of these guys that we talked about. His record is not glamorous, but you look back at his strength of competition. He's fought everyone that is like the toughest dudes out there. Like, he has tested himself against some of the very, very best competition he could. And, he's won some, he's lost some. Very dangerous, in shape, athletic, explosive, comes confident, ready to win. And, Charlie, I think, will definitely have the wrestling advantage. I think the technical striking advantage most likely too. But I don't know that Corey is somebody that you want to get in there and just go tit for tat with, with no rhyme or reason. So definitely an element of danger with Corey Delaney, as Charlie's coming off of a decent little layoff at this point due to some injuries.
Yeah, injuries and some health issues as well that he had to take care of. So it's a long layoff for him, and there is that little bit of unknown going into this fight for him. You feel like, hey, I know who Charlie Alexander is, what he's about. But when you come off of injuries and health issues and that long a layoff, there's that fight within the fight. This will be his first, full training camp back. This will be his first weight cut, coming back. And having to approach it probably different, just making sure that he's taking care of himself. So, Charlie's kind of got two fights this week. One that'll happen Saturday, and the one getting him from about this point on a Tuesday to Friday. So there is some unknown there, but like you said, Corey Delaney, man, don't you look at his 4-8 record? Well, it's 4-8 because the guy doesn't say no to fights, and not in a, hey, I'm just a money grab type of guy. He fully expects and believes and thinks that, as well he should, that he's going to win every fight. So he takes them, and and he fights the toughest guys. He's just one of those guys you can always count on to show up, be in shape, and go after it. It doesn't always work out, but he doesn't let those situations detour him. He's like, I'll be back, and I think this one is going to be, Charlie kind of slows things down a lot in his fights, and he likes to feel them out. He likes to be patient, and I think that's going to get us some minutes in these rounds, possibly here, as Charlie kind of gets his rust knocked off and his feet back wet. Which could play in Corey's favor to slow the fight down a little bit, and kind of like we talked before, one of those other matches, you slow the fight down. Well, it may give him more of an opportunity to find something and catch something. So, it's going to be real interesting. Again, Charlie was in one of those positions before his injury that. Honestly, he had a title fight booked for another promotion, and unfortunately had to walk away from that to take care of himself. and he's trying to get back there, man. And so he knows that he cannot take anybody lightly right now if he wants to quickly get back to the place that he left off. But in the same token, as Corey Delaney has fought tough guys, look at Charlie Alexander's, background. You look at the David Robbins, which arguably he still, feels I won that fight, as well as a lot of people think that. That was one of those kind of 50-50. You ask 10 people, half are going to say, David won, half are going to say Charlie won. Damir Farabagovich. I mean, come on. As an amateur, Scott Holtzman right before Scott goes pro, come on, he's had his, but he's also had his slip ups, man. So you can't look at somebody like a Corey Delaney sitting here at 4-8 and say, this is easy. This is going to be easy because Charlie's been there before when he fought Jordan Weeks, who was sitting at 1-2, I believe, at that time, and Charlie was sitting at 3-1, sitting pretty, and at 3-1, and your only loss being to Damir at that time, the sky was the limit right then, and he goes in there and just 1 second of a brain fart and the fight was over. And he knows better than anybody that can happen. And that is what Corey Delaney brings to the table, is that fear that I'm going to catch you the same way this guy did. So it's going to be an exciting way to top off the night. The fight's in Nashville. We're at training camp. The Nashville MMA guys are going to be there. Charlie Alexander, he's a police officer, a recruit trainer at the police academy. I know we've sold tickets already to like cadets and stuff, past cadets. So it's going to be live in this place about this time.
Yeah. First Underground in this venue was certainly an awesome vibe.
It's a
definitely
feeling like no other, man.
It's hard to match it. It's almost even hard to describe it if you're not there. So I would encourage you all to be there because I promise you're gonna have a great time. It's gonna be high energy. It's gonna be some great fights, and we'll have a party that night. It'll be a lot of fun. You get your tickets if you'd like to join us this Saturday, December 17th, at training camp for Nashville Underground 3 at fightertickswiththenext.com. You can catch pay-per-view spectationsports.com, and I guess that's gonna do it, Jeff. If you would do us a favor before we get out of here, folks, do us a like, subscribe to the channel, comment, let us know what fight you're the most excited to see this weekend, and anything to take us home here, Jeff. Any parting words?
Really, like I said, man, just Nashville, come on out and let's get ready to party. It's a feeling like no other. Low ceilings, the sound guy was there with me last night, and when he could just hear the echo in there of just the bricko block walls and the low ceilings, he was like, oh my God, it's going to get loud. Like the sound system alone, he's like, it's going to get loud in here. The lighting in there, the tap truck, we've got the beer truck pulls into the venue 20 feet from the cage with taps on it to pull it, red and white wine for the ladies, imports, drafts, domestics, it doesn't matter. It's all there. We got a hot dog vendor that pulls right in next to the cage too. Man, it's like I said, it's a feeling like no other, but you're going to miss it if you don't come. This thing sold out the last time. We're trending that way again this time. In fact, last time, Tammy, if you remember, we couldn't even.
There were no tickets available at the door. Yeah,
you could not even buy a ticket on fight day. So I would not wait too long. Tickets will be on sale till midnight Friday night. You know what? It's worth the extra $4 surcharge to buy it online to guarantee that you get one, guys, because you don't want to show up Saturday and find out you can't go in because we've reached capacity.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We appreciate everybody joining us out there for another edition of the 0 Hour. We'll be back next week with a recap of all this fun. For Jeff Hobbs, I'm Tim Lloyd. We're signing out. We'll see y'all next time. We'll see you at the fights this weekend. Where we'll see you. Take care.